Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. We had the casual stream yesterday. Shout out to everyone who was on there. Since then, there has been a few interesting things that have taken place. There's a couple of topics which I kind of broached yesterday, which I want to expand on a little bit here. But yeah, there's a couple other topics that have come out, and it's only right that I speak about them, give my thoughts. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I guess the first bit of news I want to go over in a bit more detail, because I did speak about it yesterday, was the Ryan Garcia test from VADA, which showed that there was unconfirmed reports on the test of having the metabolite for nandrolone on there. So what basically happened, just as a quick summary for anyone who's not really understanding how this works, and this is just from the limited information that I know on the situation. When they was administering the test, they had, I guess, a metabolite or a substance that read as, I guess, this metabolite of nandrolone, and they weren't 100% sure if it was verified, but it was a potential adverse finding on it. So because it was a potential finding, they had to list it and say, well, we've traced this as a definite analytical finding. This one is unconfirmed, but we need to do more testing because we believed it could be a metabolite of this, but we need to double check. So obviously they put that on the sheet, and I believe it's come back now saying it's not confirmed. So I think there's still more testing that they got to do on it, but it's ultimately saying it's not a confirmation of that substance being found in the sample that was collected. So a lot of people have now run with that and basically said, oh, you see, so Ryan Garcia is innocent because, you know, they said this was in his test, and now they've said, yeah, no, it wasn't in his test, and blah blah blah. First things first, that's actually inaccurate, because there is still the percentage of ostarine that was found in there. I believe it was 5 nanograms or 6 nanograms or something like that, which, according to something I actually just saw the other day, so the New York State Athletic Commission say that you could have a 0.1 nanogram in your system as an acceptable allowance. I don't know how true that is, bearing in mind that in USADA, in VADA, in WADA, UCAD, like any amount of ostarine, no matter how traceable, how tiny, is a qualifiable substance which stops you from being allowed to have it. But they're saying that, well, you can, if I guess they're saying in their testing, if it shows up as 0.1%, they would I guess dismiss it and say, okay, well, it could just be a trace of a contamination. I'm assuming that's probably what they're trying to say, whereas everyone else says, no, if it's there in any form whatsoever, you can't have it. But in this instance, there was supposedly about 6 nanograms worth in Ryan Garcia's sample. So contrary to popular belief and what people are saying and what he's been saying, he is still on the hook for this test. Even if there wasn't a nandrolone metabolite in the sample, there has been this ostarine, and according to what they would say, it's about 60 times the limit of what this minimal trace acceptable allowance would be from NISAC. So yeah, there's still a lot more to answer there, but at least it's only answering one charge as opposed to 2 at this point in time. The B sample is due to be opened on the 22nd of May, and it will be opened in front of Ryan Garcia's attorney, as well as the rest of the lab bodies, and I guess whoever else from the commission who needs to be there. That's to verify that there's no tampering has occurred with it. There's like no one has mishandled it, no agents have been slipped in, so it's open to the satisfactory standards of a representative of Ryan Garcia, as well as obviously I guess a commission head and obviously the people within inside the lab that will open it up as well. So yes, a little bit on that. it'll be interesting to see what sort of comes out more with that situation. I'm obviously still withholding formal judgment, but you guys do know my initial thoughts on how this situation is playing out. But yeah, leave yours down below, let me know what you think, and we await further news. Roll on the 22nd. So yesterday it was announced on Twittex, I think there was going to be a championship double header. It was either yesterday or Tuesday, but you basically Shakur Stevenson will be taking on, I think it's Aaron Hatatunian or Artem Hatatunian. I think that's who he's fighting next. That's the same guy that Frank Martin fought, I think, in his last fight, which was back in 2022, I think, at the end of 2022, or the start of 2023. It was one or the other. So he's going to be fighting him, and Oshaki Foster, it's the Ice Water himself, is going to be taking on Robson Conceição on that card. And there's also another card on another fight on that card, but I know that's basically the championship doubleheader that's going to be taking place. I think it's happening it's either the end of June or the start of July. It's one or the other. Now in the same announcement, Bob Arum sort of came out and also said that he would be willing to work with Terence Crawford again in the future. I said he doesn't hold any sort of hard feelings or ill wills. He doesn't take anything personally, although I disagree with him there. I've seen him take a few situations personally in the past, but he is a bit more cut from that Eddie Hearn cloth of, it's always business. If it's right for business, I don't need to let feelings get in the way. But he's saying that, there was mistakes made on both sides. There was things said on both sides that probably shouldn't have been said, but ultimately he still thinks he's one of the best fighters in the world, and he's happy to sort of make that connection again if there's a fight that can be made for him. Now I see obviously some people would be like, well, based on how it was kind of left and the fact that you said that you was always hemorrhaging money from Crawford before, why would you want to re-sign him? Especially now he's commanding much more of a paycheck than he was when he was on his minimum guarantee of that $4 million or whatever it is. Well, I think part of that is the fact that I guess right now he's being backed by Saudi money, because if you have him on one of your cards or he's like a Saudi fighter, you can probably get any fight of his either offset by Saudi or get that fight put on by the Saudi team. Therefore, you don't have to pay for it. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to have him on your books? I'm assuming it's the same reason why someone like Deontay Wilder is on for a one fight deal, but it's an Eddie Hearn matchroom card with Queensberry and all that, but you have Deontay Wilder in there because you're not having to pay Deontay Wilder what Deontay Wilder wants to earn. Like, if the money's not coming from you, I think you're more happy to sign up certain people. So I think that's kind of the way that one's looking. Obviously he's about to fight Israel Madrimov next. If he takes that fight, gets through that fight, then there's a potential Tim Tszyu fight after that, or Virgil Ortiz, or Sebastian Fundora, or even potentially the other guy whose name has now just escaped my brain, but the one who holds the IBF belt. I'm assuming if you say, okay, well, you can get one of those other people maybe on side and you can create the fight that way. It probably makes a lot of sense. That's kind of the way I see it. I mean, let me know if you guys see it any differently, but that's just a little bit of that. With going back to the card between Shakur and Artem Hatatunian, I don't think it's a great fight, but I can understand, if no one else necessarily wants to kind of fight now for Shakur Stevenson, go in there and see what you can do. Now it's going to be a case of two pure boxers, but at least Shakur will probably take the front foot approach and try and press the action, because he's got good enough footwork to do that and to be able to trap Hatatunian and he probably feels like he doesn't hit as hard as maybe some other guys, so he might have to take that approach especially to build his stock back up, because I do think this is his last fight on his last fight with Top Rank on the current deal. Whether he re-signs or not, time will tell. In terms of Shakur Foster and Robson Conceição, that is a very interesting fight. Conceição had a really good fight with Navarrete in his last one, ended up being a draw, where most people actually felt that he won that fight. So and obviously he's had he's had good fights with Shakur Stevenson recently, even though Shakur kind of blew the weight, but he gave a decent effort of himself in that one. He also had a good effort, I think, is the Oscar Valdez fight that he had as well. And obviously Shakur Foster's, he's come through the pits of hell. He's come through the fire in his last couple of fights, but he has left it late to sort of cement those victories. So this could be an interesting take on those. So I'm looking forward to that card when it comes out, and no doubt there's going to be a bunch of good quality guys on the undercards, the future talents. If I'm not mistaken, I think Keyshawn Davis is on that card as well. I can't remember who he's facing, but I'm sure I saw him on that card. So yeah, got an interest in it. We'll see kind of what happens moving forward. I guess the one thing that we didn't think would ever happen has now finally taken place. Jamal Charlo has officially been stripped of the WBC middleweight title, and Carlos Adames has been elevated to full champion. This comes after Jamal Charlo ended up in there was a hit and run. I suppose there was an accident within cars where I think there was another party was injured. He also then refused to stop when police were sort of signaling him down to stop. He went on a chase with them, ended up also catching a DUI charge, driving while intoxicated. I believe he's on a $90,000 bond at the moment, or a $9,000. It's one or the other. I'm going to assume it's 90 because they probably feel like he's a high risk and he's got that kind of money. But yeah, a bit of a short one. Like in terms of his substance abuse issues, his mental health and all that stuff, I'm not going to speak on it. I don't know what he's going through or what he's not going through, but what I do know is at the moment the guy's fucking up, and I say that in all sincerity. I say that in all matter of fact natures. I'm not even trying to make jokes or make lights of it like some other people may do. It's not really my style. He needs some form of help. I don't know what kind it is, but the one thing that I'm happy with, and more than anything, because I don't really care about people's personal lives, that's their business. I'm here for the boxing. At least now we can potentially get a 3-belt unification between Carlos Adames and Janibek and Canela, even if no one outside of the hardcores and the hardcore casuals like myself know those two guys. We can maybe get a bit of life back in that middleweight division, and things can kind of move on as needed. And whatever help that Jamal Charlo needs, I hope he gets it. That's pretty much all I'm going to say with regards to that. And last but not least, first of all, a big shout out to October Red for having Hotshot Dwayne Sinclair and Savage Dan on her channel yesterday. Big live stream. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It was a good one, but it was basically about what does Joshua Buatsi do next, why is there so much issues with the Anthony Yarde fight, and basically why is his career not kicked on after doing the big move from Matchroom and DAZN over to Boxer and Sky Sports. Well, news has just come out a little earlier on today that the WBO are they've basically mandated for Joshua Buatsi and Anthony Yarde to enter negotiations for potential WBO interim title. They've sent a show cause letter to Artur Beterbiev to basically show the doctor's report for his ruptured meniscus injury that he had from his knee, and if he can't show cause for that, then likely what they would end up doing is stripping that WBO belt away from him, and then the winner of that potential fight there would become the full champ. But in the meantime, they will be fighting for an interim if they agree to this. They've been told to enter negotiations now. Now the interesting thing is, you enter negotiations right now, Anthony Yarde doesn't have a promoter. So he's going to be doing everything off of his own back, off of his own choice, just him and his manager. Joshua Buatsi, he's got obviously his management team, but he's also got Boxer there who can put a bid together. Now, Yarde, Frank Warren still says that he's signed, he's still under contract, so he is still with them, but obviously Yarde believes he's a free agent, so you got to kind of work that one out and figure out how they're gonna parlay one side to the other. But the interesting thing here is obviously if they can't agree, then it goes to purse bid. So here's the question: if it ends up going to purse bid, well, if Frank Warren feels hurt by obviously what's gone on, and Yarde believes he's a free agent, and Frank obviously can't get him to sign his new deal or extension, would he go in for the purse bid knowing that it's basically a one and done? Maybe not. Or if he does, he might not go in at a level that shows support to his guy in that sense. You've got Boxer on the other hand. Obviously there has been the history of purse bid gates with them, but I'm pretty sure they would be confident with this one. But then what about wildcards? I mean, imagine, just for instance, Matchroom decide to come in with the zone and like upset that and decide to take that fight and put on their platform. Maybe to be spiteful, maybe because they see it as a good opportunity. Or Wasserman. Or what if maybe, His Excellency Mr. Turkey Al-Sheikh himself has a card that's coming up and he decides that he wants that card for him, and he decides to get something put together with Queensbury, Matchroom, Senna, and all the other promotions that he's working with. This could be an interesting time. I mean, is it something that they would look at and see value in? Maybe. It's something that Boxer would definitely have to commit to, because they put a lot of stock and they put a lot of time and a lot of words into what they want to do with Joshua Buatsi. So they'd have to go strong in here. They couldn't afford to take a bad publicity of not allowing that purse bid to go ahead if it ends up getting to that level. But yeah, it would be interesting to see. It's a developing story at the moment, so we're just going to wait and see how it all kind of pans out. But I thought I'd just express my thoughts on it and see what you guys think. So yeah, let me know in the chat what you think in the comment sections down below. Thank you everyone obviously for watching. As you know, it's always appreciated. Basis picks will be out tomorrow. Maybe some other videos coming over the weekend. We'll wait and see. I've got to do some members content soon enough, so you guys will hear all about that. But thanks for watching as always, and for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.